So the title of this video is a little bit odd, but I think you will see why shortly. I won the dice roll here, playing against Zach 1965 with my Edric deck. He's playing in Tet the Dreamer. I think this also kind of demonstrates some of the power of this deck and why when people ask me, you know, is it good in multiplayer, give them a fairly emphatic yes. They say, what would you change? And the answer is not very much. Not very much at all. So I get a pretty nutty draw. Turn 2, looking good. Turn 3, I rip map, so now we're looking unbelievably good. So down comes Jiraga, Edric, level up Jiraga twice and smash for 3 cards. And this one's just about over. I mean, it is over, but what is this, turn 4? So I tutor for Mystical and smash for some cards. Trying all, leaving just the one, and then since I didn't get the card I want, I Mystical for Green Sun Zenith. With my last draw, I take the Zenith and misplay here. I'm actually meant to play the Crypt. I was going to blow it up. Kind of weird, but yeah. So that's okay. I Zenith for 8, and out comes a big guy. And I figured he'd scoop here, but he was actually being kind of interesting. He decided to keep going, so I decided, well, if he's going to keep going, then so will I. So then I really meant to play Crypt here, but that's okay. So I do that and throw away a few worthless lands, and turn 5, here we go. So I send my elephants first. He still thinks that it matters, so he doesn't block, and I get Clamp, and that is all she wrote. So I am not going to go through this too heavily, but the goal is to get both a forest and an island into play, but at least an island into play so that I can Earthcraft. So here we go. Flip an Arayo and start clamping away. Making sure to tap my guys for mana beforehand. Snap. So the goal here is to destroy all of his permanents and draw my whole deck and take all my elephants back. That was the goal I set for myself, but what I should have done, if I would have remembered correctly, is that, here's the deck list. I've got Psionic Blast in this deck, so what I should have set out as the goal for the turn is to Psionic Blast him 5 times this turn, which I could do quite easily, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about here in just a moment. So, but I set out for the destroy all his permanents and take all of his elephants plan. Alright, so we start, every time I play a creature that costs 1 mana, if it's an elf, he produces an extra creature, so I spend 1 green to get 2 back, not counting what the Cradle does for me. So this 4 mana Oracle here now is going to allow me to get a forest into play so I can Earthcraft either green or blue. And of course I'm going to be able to untap Cradle later. But so I start crafting and then get my Oracle, and then I just hold because I'm not going to play, the land I'm going to play is a forest. I'm not going to play anything unless it's a forest, well, or a sack land perhaps to get a forest. So I start drawing and drawing, drawing, and I'm digging and looking for forest. And I'm also like producing mana here as I'm going, and I finally find a sack land. And there we go. So we'll just, the top of my deck actually at this point doesn't matter, so I'm going to minimize it because I won't be cloning the Oracle, and I'm not going to be, and basically it's just excess information, it's worthless info. So so I'm, oops, clamping, 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 and then finally I clamping and crafting, and finally I hit a treachery, so I go ahead and pre-treachery. I'm going to try to make Cradle as valuable as possible. So Deranged Hermit costs 5 mana, but he produces 6 thanks to Earthcraft, plus an additional 6 thanks to Craft and Wirewood Hivemaster. And it can all be blue. He produces any combination of green and blue at this point. Plus an additional 6 for Cradle, so spend 5, get 12, and draw, you know, draw 12 cards. It's a pretty reasonable spell. So I cloned the Hermit. This is where I kind of messed up a little bit, like if I was going to go with the Psionic Blast play. But, you know, I was having a little bit of fun here, so 2 mana elf who makes an extra creature and produces 2 mana thanks to Earthcraft. and draws. So this guy basically was 2 mana, draw 4 cards, untap 2 lands. So 0, draw 4 cards. It's pretty good. So anyway, what happens? What I'm doing is I clamp my hermit and then regrow the clone hermit and then regrow the clone and replay the clone prior to using Cradle. So play another draw 11. I'm spinning through every elf I have in my hand comes down. So I meant to go get Witness right there with that Greensun Zenith. I don't know, it was the second or third one I played this game. But I hit Archdruid, and that's like a big problem because Archdruid pumps up all my elves, and now the only thing I can clamp are insects. I won't even be able to clamp the Hermit to kill him and make the squirrels 1/1s. It's kind of bad misplace. I thought I might actually run out of gas, but I do have other ways to kill my creatures. And I finally draw one. I draw Birthing Pod, so clamp the Archdruid, stop the pod out, and pod him away. And go get Sower. Start taking all of his elephants. So pod into Glenelendra. I mean, I could have rifted the elephants back up, I suppose, but you know, I set out with the goal of stealing them all, so I figured I'd put them on loan. And here, one of the newest additions there, Phantasmal Image, comes into play because it's one more regrowth, or in this case theft creature. And if I was going for the Psionic Blast plan, this would have been another copy of Eternal Witness. So you can figure Eternal Witness is 1, regrowth is 2, that guy is 3, the Phyrexian Metamorph is 4, and then the Psionic Blast itself would have been 5, so I could have easily gone boom, 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 and just shot him this turn. So anyway, carrying on with the I want to steal all of your stuff plan. So, there's Metamorph. Or there's a Witness, rather, into Metamorph. And, yes, all of his stuff has been stolen. And then I figured I'd finally hit infinite scrolls, and I haven't even tapped Cradle yet, so I can make an unlimited number of scrolls and then tap Cradle for equal amount of mana. So I'm definitely going to draw the whole deck. So I just make enough to ensure that I will. And when it gets down to 4 rows, it's like excessive, and I didn't want to have to deal with stuff scrolling off screen. So I finally stopped making squirrels and tap my Cradle for 40. Start playing stuff again, and then my opponent. The whole time I kept asking him to press F6, and he was like clicking OK after every single spell. Like you can see, he's got 12 minutes on his clock. So it took like way longer than it had to. All you had to do is just press F6 and then kick back. If he was going to let me go off, which he obviously was. If he wasn't going to let me go off, then all he had to do was scoop. But instead what he did was he let me go off up to this point and then decided that he had enough. So I didn't get to finish. Because what I wanted to do was bribery him. At this point I had control of, well, how many elephants is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elephants. 6 elephants, 7 elephants, 8 elephants, 9. So at this point I have 9 elephants, and I only have 2 Terastodons in play. It's rather amusing how this all works out. No, I have 1 Terastodon, but I have control of 9 of my own elephants, with only 1 Terastodon in play. And so that's fairly amusing. And I have how many control magics? 1 Sower, 2 Sowers, 3 Sower. A Treachery is 4, so that's only 4 control magics. 4 control magics, 1 Terastodon, 9 elephants. How does that even make sense? I don't know, but you saw it too, so I guess it does. Couldn't have done it if it didn't. I just thought it'd be really cool to bribery him and throw some of his own creatures into the mix, since at this point, basically, since the elephants came from me, they were all mine. I didn't actually have control of any of his stuff. Treacherying and sowering my own stuff. So this deck is a very compact, does not rely on anybody else's deck when it comes to going off. And to get back to the original discussion about how good is this deck in multiplayer, well, take a look at the board and you tell me. I mean, you can obviously, there's a Force of Will. We have unlimited mana. We can fill our hand up with counter spells and then just if the next person does anything, you just multiple untap the island, counter it. If the other guy counters it, you untap the island a few more times, counter that, counter that, counter that, counter that. Rift the entire board here. I mean, obviously, like this is game over for the entire table. You get to, I mean, I'm screwing around, but if I wasn't, we could have thrown down opposition and then just tapped everybody down, rifted everybody up, and then protect it with, you know, as many counter spells as you could possibly want. So, pretty sure that this deck will work in multiplayer. And since I do like to demonstrate the deck list here at the end, in case you're interested, here's what it is. And I do hope that you enjoyed it. Loving, loving, loving this recent edition. Just one more clone is just so powerful, and having it be 2 mana, ooh, it's just great. Can't believe I hadn't used this card that whole time. This is one of those like cards that makes me feel dumb for having not played it up until now. But it's in there now, so watch out, people. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.